Come on, nigga!
Hey guys, welcome. I thought I'd take you along for a little ride while I change my monitor setup. Thanks for watching. I upload about 3 videos per week, mainly of my races in iRacing, but every now and then I put up a hints and tips video or even something like this, so if you'd like to subscribe, simply click on the link below. I've had triple monitors for 2.5 years now. They've been absolutely amazing. But before that, I had a single 55-inch 4K TV, which was great, but very demanding on that generation of GPU, and the input lag of 25 milliseconds just wasn't good when the lights went green. Having 3 screens wrap around you while racing gives you a level of immersion that I've never experienced before. I had the debate with my Discord and YouTube community when buying the screens about whether to go for virtual reality or triples, and the benefits for 3 monitors for me far outweighed the benefits of VR. Also, at the time, VR technology hadn't come as far as it has today, and I didn't want to be cornered into something I would seriously regret in a short period of time. Off track though, there were so many other benefits to having multiple screens. From a productivity argument, having more real estate to play with allows you to spread all your work right out. I could do so many things at once. I can work on my next YouTube upload while editing the thumbnail and also watching a funny video on YouTube. Pete loves it too. Almost every day for over a year, he would wake up in the morning and kick me off the simulator so he could watch what he calls his channel. 5 videos at once. That's not too much for a little kid, right? Nah, seriously. I would put one video up that he would like, and the other monitors were just other random kids' videos that he likes. It kept him quiet in the mornings, and his mum had a chance to wake up properly, which means more brownie points for me, right? When I got the triple screens, I was like a kid in a candy store. I could never have the settings cranked up 100%, but the experience of knowing what was next to you while driving really helped to enhance my peripheral vision and understand even more what was around me. This allowed me to race a lot closer to everyone on the track. Unfortunately, with every Windows update and every iRacing update, the strain on the computer got more and more, to the extent that I had to wind the settings down so much in iRacing that it looked almost like a cartoon. I would spend every lap thinking my PC was cranked at 100% and probably going to crash at any minute. It was frustrating, but having a PC means you constantly have to tune and tweak as you go along to make things work. If you wanted it to be easy, just get a PlayStation or an Xbox, right? We were at the Sonoma the other day, and I had to detune the graphics so much that almost all of the grandstands had to be taken out. The track looked like it was still under construction, and I was still only getting 50 frames per second. It was at this point that I realised that my setup is just too old to enjoy modern content. I'm a bit of a tight ass with money and needed to think outside the box a little bit. My PC was an absolute beast in its day, but after all this time I'm in need of an upgrade. My i7 4790 CPU with 16 gig DDR3 RAM and a GTX 1080, that was something to behold a long time ago. But I watched a video the other day where it was compared to a modern day i3, and it lost. I've made a couple of upgrades since buying the PC over 5 years ago, like an M.2 SSD, a couple of extra hard drives for storage, and the GTX 1080 itself. That replaced a GTX 980 that came with the PC. The new PC hardware generation is finally at a stage where if you upgrade now, you are definitely future-proofing for at least 3 to 5 years. Unfortunately, prices are way out of my league. I can't just upgrade one component. Everything I have is a previous generation. Therefore, I'm up for about 5 to 7,000 Australian dollary dues, which is almost 5,500 US dollars, just for the PC. I had to come up with a solution where I could take the pressure off the computer and continue on until money was more readily available in the Corrigan household. So this leads me to my mate Stewie, who is a bloke I work with and has been watching my videos for the past 12 months. He finally bit the bullet about 3 months ago and came up to me asking what he would need to do to get into iRacing, starting from scratch. We worked on the best and most cost-effective setup for about 4 weeks, and he settled on the same wheel that I have, which is a Thrustmaster TX, a racing frame, and more importantly, a Samsung 49-inch ultrawide. I will admit at the time that I didn't know too much about this monitor, but he had an older generation i5 PC and needed something easygoing to run the sim. Just after Christmas, I went over to Stewie's just to see how his setup was going and got to jump in and have a little bit of a steer and see what it's like. And wow, I was amazed how his PC was able to manage more than double the frames of my computer at home, and he had a much higher detail. I started to do the math on how much stress my graphics card is under and came up with this little table. So if we use my triple setup as a benchmark of 100%, we can work out what sort of load difference each setup option has. My triple 1080 has 6.2 million pixels. If I went for the same setup but at 1440p, it would be 11 million pixels, almost double, but 177% of the load. My computer's not going to handle that. A super ultra wide, a 1080p, is 4.147 million pixels. It's only 66% of the load of my current GTX 1080 with the triples. If I went a spec up to the super ultra wide 1440p, it's 7.372 million pixels, which is 118% of my current load, therefore stressing my computer out even further. After running these quick calculations, it was pretty easy to see how changing the monitor would save me from having to completely replace my PC. The savings were obvious. When I looked online, it was on sale for about $1,300, which is a lot cheaper than a $5,000 PC. This was the winning factor in wanting to change, to take a load off my graphics card without having to replace any major hardware in my computer, therefore saving a bucket load of money and retaining some of those brownie points that I'd been working hard on all year long. My birthday was coming up, and it was actually Kathy's idea to do something about changing my screens. She could see each day how annoyed I was getting my PC issues. The idea was to sell my triples and ask family for money instead of presents this year, and hopefully it would kind of balance out. I took the plunge, and without asking for a second time, I raced to the local computer store and picked up my very own Samsung 49-inch Super Ultra Wide. I did it 5 days before my birthday, so as the rules state in this household, actually by me, I had to wait until the 4th of January to open it. So I had to look at a big blue box for 5 days. I had time, so I thought I would get things ready for the big day. While I was deconstructing the rig, I decided to have a race with just one monitor, just to see how much I would notice or even miss the extra real estate you get with 3 monitors. At first I noticed how I wasn't able to look through the corners as well, not being able to look as far into the distance as possible. After a while though, I adjusted quite easily and kept my focus on the racing line. I kind of realised there and then that all the extra real estate isn't necessary or even essential to extract time out of the car. It was merely a luxury that helps the experience. Opening the box was pretty self-explanatory, just on a much larger scale. This meant that I needed my trusty apprentice Pete, and I'm glad he was there to help. This thing is huge. Once you open the box, you are greeted with all of the monitor stand components. The instructions clearly state that you need to install the stand before taking the monitor out of the box to prevent any damage. Need to turn it on its side and remove the box from the monitor. This thing is so big, it'll be easy to overflex it while lifting it out the wrong way. We didn't need to worry about any of that, but we still needed some of the screws from the monitor stand to install my VESA mount from my main setup. Be careful removing those screws, they actually felt really cheap and nasty, not something that I'd expect from Samsung. My VESA mount fitted pretty easily, but my backlit LED is a bit of a custo mod and took a bit of fiddling, but we got there pretty easily. All I needed to do was hang it onto the monitor stand, tighten one screw to secure it, and I was off and running. When I first put the monitor up, the room felt a little empty compared to my old setup, but I was already getting a good feeling with the potential. I was able to get my frame a lot closer to the screen and get my wheel right up there, which is recommended with sim racing. It does get in the way a little when not driving, but it's something that doesn't concern me. Nothing ever runs smoothly with PCs. If you want it smooth, buy an Xbox. At first my PC didn't even recognise the monitor and I thought, uh-oh, here we go. But after I restarted Windows, a reboot seemed to recalibrate things and all was good. A quick flick through Windows display settings, an Nvidia control panel, and the native 3840 by 1080 at 143Hz came straight up. The following day, I went to turn the PC on at the start of the day, and once again, it wouldn't recognise the monitor. It turns out the PC was still looking for my old monitors, along with the addresses of my other USB components, of which there were a lot. There was some sort of conflict going on. With a lot of fiddling, namely deleting all of the old stuff in Device Manager, I haven't had any issues since. To find this on your PC, press the Windows button, then D. This will bring up the Device Manager suggestion in the pop-up window. Simply click on that, and when it opens, click on View, and then Show Hidden Devices. This will reveal all of the components registered to your PC, but not currently plugged in. This process has helped me massively over the years with my USB conflicts. Simply delete all of those grayed out signatures, then right click on all of the leftover ones to deselect power management options. This time I had duplicate graphics cards, monitors and audio sources. My first race with the new monitor was absolutely awesome. I didn't feel like I'd lost anything over the triples. I was able to crank the detail up a bit, but the most important thing was the random screen flickering had gone, helping me to further immerse into the game. I'm also able to project a cleaner image into OBS now and give a better quality image to my audience. When not racing, productivity is almost as good as a triple setup. It's pretty cool to spread an images folder across the whole screen. Video editing is great, and you could have multiple browser windows open at once, or simply have everything open that you are using at the time. Without having the individual monitors to divide the space, I had to install Windows PowerToys to set up the fancy zones across my setup. This program is a must when you have this kind of setup, and has come a long way in the last 6 months to be a lot more user friendly. It has a whole bunch of other handy tools, and it's highly recommended. So I used this opportunity to fix some of the things that have been bugging me in this room. First, I had to move the frame to the center of the room, followed by moving my lower monitor up to match the new screen. Then I had to get rid of that old shelf and install one permanently onto the wall. Then there was the cable management. I'm quite proud of this little wall divider I've got using magnets to hold it up and hide the mess behind it, but even a mess can look cleaner and needed a neaten up. Behind the frame, some work was needed too. Good thing I enjoy this kind of thing, and there are heaps of cables to manage. If I had the option again, I would probably not go for this model of Super Ultrawide. It's over 2 years old now, and there's a newer model recently released with all new functions. I would probably go for the newer CHG90 QLED model, which might be a little bit more expensive, 1500 versus 1300 Australian dollars, but at least it has all new functions and hardware like DisplayPort 1.4, FreeSync, and 1 millisecond response time, as opposed to what I have, which is a 5 millisecond response time. But hindsight's a wonderful thing, and it's a lesson in doing more research before you buy something. Those specs don't personally meet my needs, and I'm super happy with the end product. Just remember though that this monitor doesn't come with a DisplayPort cable. You would have to get one of those to get the advertised 144Hz. With an HDMI, I think you'll be limited to just 120 or as low as 60 frames. All in all, I love my new setup, and without any further ado, here is my very first attempt at a montage. Enjoy! So thanks for watching guys, click the like button if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click on the subscribe button as I hope to do more videos like this throughout the year. Cheers and have a great day.